Welcome to this episode of the story. Have you subscribed yet? Chapter 141. Delving deeper into the ruins to find a way out and uncover secrets. On their way back to Lingxi town, Sumu couldn't shake off his worries about the conspiracy of the spirit balancers and the black-robed men. Meanwhile, he was also thinking about how to further enhance his strength to deal with the greater crisis that lay ahead. Grandfather Senior Lin, through this experience in the ruins, I've realized that time-reversing spiritual energy and spatial spiritual energy still have great potential to be tapped. After returning to Lingxi town, I want to find a quiet place to seclude myself for cultivation, striving to push my strength to a new level, Sumu said. Grandfather nodded in approval. Xiaomu, it's excellent that you have this idea. Now that the spirit balancers and the black-robed men are relentlessly pursuing us, improving our strength is indeed urgent. There's a hidden place in Lingxi town with abundant spiritual energy and tranquility, suitable for your secluded cultivation. Lin Yuan also added, That's right, enhancing strength is crucial, but we must not neglect the investigation into the conspiracy of the spirit balancers and the black-robed men. After returning to Lingxi town, I'll contact some old friends to see if I can get more information about these two forces. The three discussed their countermeasures as they hurried along. Soon, they arrived back at Lingxi town. When the townsfolk saw Sumu and his companions return safely, they all wore relieved smiles. However, Sumu also detected a trace of worry in their eyes. After all, the previous appearance of the spirit balancers had brought great threats to Lingxi town. Sumu found the town mayor and detailed his experiences outside as well as the threats posed by the spirit balancers and the black-robed men. After listening, the mayor's expression turned extremely grave. Sumu, I didn't expect things to be so serious. Lingxi town will fully support you. We'll strengthen our defenses, and we hope you can enhance your strength as soon as possible to find a way to deal with this, the mayor said. Sumu thanked him. Mayor, thank you and Lingxi town for your support. I'll do my utmost to protect Lingxi town and uncover the conspiracy of the spirit balancers and the black-robed men. Subsequently, under his grandfather's guidance, Sumu went to that hidden place. It was a valley in the back mountains of Lingxi town, surrounded by dense forests. The valley was rich in spiritual energy, permeated with a faint mist of spiritual aura. Xiaomu, this is the place I mentioned. Cultivate here in seclusion, and I'll guard outside the valley to ensure no one disturbs you, grandfather said. Sumu nodded, walked into the valley, and found a flat spot to sit down. He took a deep breath, slowly closed his eyes, and began to circulate his time-reversing and spatial spiritual energy. The time-reversing energy, like a colorful torrent, surged through his meridians, while the spatial energy, like a transparent veil, intertwined with it. During cultivation, Sumu constantly recalled the information conveyed by the runes on the mysterious stone tablet in the ruins, trying to further refine those advanced spiritual energy fusion techniques. He guided the time-reversing and spatial energy to converge in his dantian, forming a colorful spiritual energy vortex. The vortex rotated rapidly, continuously absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy, and Sumu's strength gradually improved. However, cultivation was not plain sailing. As the fusion of spiritual energy deepened, Sumu encountered a bottleneck. No matter how hard he tried, the time-reversing and spatial energy could not fuse further, as if blocked by an invisible barrier. Sumu did not lose heart. He calmed down and carefully recalled every detail of his time in the ruins. Suddenly, he remembered that in the depths of the ruins, the spiritual energy fluctuations around the spiritual altar seemed to contain a special pattern, which might be related to the bottleneck he was facing. Perhaps I need to return to the ruins to find a way to break through this bottleneck, Sumu decided inwardly. Sumu ended his cultivation, walked out of the valley, and told his grandfather his idea. After hearing this, grandfather frowned slightly. Xiaomu, the ruins are full of dangers, and the spirit balancers and black-robed men might have set ambushes there. But if you want to break through the bottleneck, this might be the only way. Sumu said firmly, Grandfather, I know the dangers, but to enhance my strength and protect Lingxi town, I must try. Grandfather looked at Sumu's resolute eyes and nodded. All right, Xiaomu, I'll go with you. More people mean more protection. Sumu looked at his grandfather gratefully. "Thank you, grandfather, but this trip to the ruins is fraught with unknown dangers. I don't want you to risk it. Stay in Lingxi town, help me take care of everyone, and keep an eye on the movements of the spirit balancers and black-robed men." Grandfather thought for a moment and said, "Very well, Xiaomu, you must be careful. If you encounter danger, find a way to escape immediately, don't be reckless." Sumu returned to the ruins once more. At this time, the ruins seemed exceptionally quiet, as if the previous fierce battles had never happened. Sumu walked cautiously toward the depths of the ruins, observing his surroundings vigilantly with every step. When he arrived again at the circular space where the spiritual altar was located, he found that the spiritual energy fluctuations here were still very strong, yet there was an unusual tranquility. Sumu walked up to the altar and carefully examined the patterns and runes on it, trying to find clues to break through the bottleneck. Suddenly, the runes on the altar burst into bright light, and a powerful beam of spiritual energy shot out from the altar, enveloping Sumu. Sumu only felt a flash of light before his eyes, and then he found himself in a mysterious space. This space was filled with an ancient and mysterious aura, and the walls around were covered with various strange patterns and texts. In the center of the space stood a huge spiritual energy statue, emitting a soft light that contained powerful spiritual energy fluctuations. Sumu walked slowly toward the statue. When he drew near, the light on the statue became even brighter, and at the same time, pieces of information poured into Sumu's mind. These messages detailed higher-level techniques for fusing time-reversing and spatial spiritual energy, as well as methods to break through the current bottleneck. Sumu was overjoyed. He immediately began to circulate his time-reversing and spatial spiritual energy according to the guidance in the information. The two types of energy underwent wonderful changes in his body, and the previously blocked bottleneck began to loosen. In this mysterious space, Sumu was immersed in cultivation, completely forgetting the passage of time. After arduous efforts, Sumu finally succeeded in breaking through the bottleneck. The time-reversing and spatial spiritual energy fused perfectly in his body, forming a more powerful form of spiritual energy. Sumu slowly opened his eyes, and a colorful light flashed in his gaze. He felt the surging power within him, his strength having risen to a new height. However, just as Sumu was about to leave the mysterious space, a low roar suddenly echoed through the space. A huge spirit beast emerged slowly from the darkness. This beast was somewhat similar to the Keelan-like spirit beast Sumu had encountered earlier in the ruins, but it exuded a much stronger spiritual pressure, with purple light flickering in its eyes, as if it could see into one's soul. "Who are you? Why have you intruded into my domain?" The spirit beast spoke, its voice like a bell reverberating in the space. Sumu looked at the beast, feeling vigilant but still speaking politely. "Senior, my name is Sumu. I returned to the ruins to break through a cultivation bottleneck. I inadvertently intruded here. I hope Senior will forgive me." The beast looked Sumu up and down and said, "You actually possess both time-reversing and spatial spiritual energy, and they are fused so perfectly, it surprises me. But since you've intruded, you must pass my test. Otherwise, you'll never leave." Sumu knew that confronting this powerful beast was unwise, but he had no other choice. "Senior, what kind of test is it? Please enlighten me," Sumu said. The beast looked at Sumu, a hint of approval in its eyes. "You have courage. My test is simple. In this space, there are 3 spiritual energy checkpoints. If you can pass them smoothly, I'll let you leave and grant you an opportunity. If you fail, you'll remain here forever." Sumu took a deep breath and said, "Thank you for informing me, Senior. I'm willing to accept the test." A new challenge was approaching. Could Sumu successfully pass the beast's 3 spiritual energy checkpoints? What dangers would he encounter in this mysterious space? Everything was full of suspense, making one worry for his fate. Sumu looked at the beast, waiting for it to activate the first checkpoint. The beast raised its head slightly, and a low roar echoed through the space. Not far ahead, a colorful light shimmered and gradually condensed into a huge spiritual energy gate. This is the first checkpoint. Behind the gate is a spiritual energy maze. You need to find the exit within an hour.
The maze not only has complex paths, but also various spiritual energy traps and illusions to confuse your mind. If you can walk out on time, you pass, the beast said slowly. Sumu nodded, walked toward the spiritual energy gate with a determined look.
When he approached, the gate opened slowly, and a powerful wave of spiritual energy rushed toward him. Sumu took a deep breath and stepped inside. After entering the maze, colorful spiritual energy lights flickered all around, with intricate passages that dazzled the eyes. Sumu did not rush forward, but first calmed himself to feel the flow of surrounding spiritual energy. He discovered that although the energy fluctuations seemed chaotic, there was a faint pattern hidden within them, like a thread, almost imperceptible, guiding him. Sumu walked forward along the faint guidance of the energy flow, always alert to possible traps around him. However, before long, a fork in the road appeared ahead, with 3 passages emitting different colored lights, each seemingly leading in the right direction. Sumu thought, and based on the energy pattern he had sensed earlier, he chose the middle passage, which emitted a pale blue light. But after taking just a few steps, the ground suddenly split open, and a huge spiritual energy vortex appeared, trying to swallow him. Sumu quickly cast Time Reverse Spatial Shield. A colorful shield instantly appeared, resisting the vortex's strong suction. In the confrontation with the vortex, Sumu found that the vortex's power seemed to resonate with his time-reversing energy. He had an idea, and tried to guide his time-reversing energy to merge with the vortex's energy. As the time-reversing energy was injected, the vortex's power was gradually controlled by Sumu, and the suction weakened. Sumu took the opportunity to leap up and jump out of the vortex's range. Continuing forward, various illusions began to appear around him. Some were his relatives and friends, shouting for him to stop. Others were ferocious-looking monsters, pouncing with bared fangs and claws. Sumu knew these were all illusions. He focused his mind, circulated his time-reversing and spatial energy, and kept his consciousness clear. When those illusions touched his energy shield, they dissipated one after another. As time passed minute by minute, Sumu kept moving through the maze. Finally, with less than a quarter of an hour left of the 1-hour limit, he saw the light of the exit ahead. Sumu quickened his pace and successfully walked out of the spiritual energy maze. Not bad. To get out of the maze in such a short time, you're more capable than I thought, the beast's voice echoed in the space. Sumu let out a breath of relief and said, "Thank you for your praise, Senior. May I know what the second checkpoint is?" The beast did not answer immediately but let out another roar. Then, the space flashed with light, and a sea of fire appeared. In the sea of fire, the flames were an eerie blue, with extremely high temperatures that slightly no-chew the space. This second checkpoint requires you to cross this sea of fire to reach the platform on the other side. The flames in the sea are condensed from special spiritual energy. Ordinary defensive methods can hardly resist them. If you can successfully reach the other side, you pass, the beast said. Sumu looked at the sea of fire before him and knew that this checkpoint was far more difficult than the previous one. He did not dare to be careless, quickly circulating his time-reversing and spatial energy to form an enhanced shield around his body. At the same time, he cast time-reverse spatial distortion, trying to weaken the Sea of Fire's power by altering the spatial structure. The eerie blue flames surged forward, and when they touched Sumu's shield, they made a sizzling sound. The runes on the shield's surface flickered under the flame's impact. Sumu could feel the pressure on the shield increasing, and the fire's high temperature seeped through the shield, making his skin sting. "I can't just wait passively." Sumu gritted his teeth, focused his mind, and guided his time-reversing energy to penetrate the flames. He tried to use the special properties of time-reversing energy to slow the flames' burning speed, or even reverse them to an unburned state. However, the blue flames were extremely strange. Upon contact, the time-reversing energy was strongly repelled. Sumu did not back down. He constantly adjusted the frequency and operation of his time-reversing energy, trying to resonate with the energy in the flames. After arduous attempts, a subtle connection finally formed between his time-reversing energy and the blue flame's energy. Using this connection, Sumu carefully guided his time-reversing energy, successfully slowing the burning speed of a small part of the flames. Seeing a glimmer of hope, Sumu increased his energy output, gradually expanding his control over the flames. As the time-reversing energy continued to penetrate, a narrow passage appeared in the sea of fire ahead. The flames in the passage burned significantly slower, and the temperature dropped somewhat. Sumu did not delay, immediately moving quickly along the passage. However, the sea of fire seemed to sense his intention, and the flames began to surge wildly, trying to close the passage again. Sumu jacked his pace, while continuously casting time-reverse spatial distortion to stabilize the passage's spatial structure. The flame's power clashed with Sumu's energy, and the space around the passage nochu and deformed, as if it might collapse at any moment. In the fierce confrontation with the flames, Sumu suddenly noticed a special spiritual energy fluctuation at the fire's core. He realized that if he could control this core, he might completely break through the sea of fire's obstruction. Sumu took a deep breath, gathered his time-reversing and spatial energy in his hands, and cast time-reverse spatial shatter palm. A colorful palm print home at the flame core, its powerful force instantly tearing through the flames and hitting the core. Boom! A violent spiritual energy fluctuation erupted at the flame core, and the blue flame's power was instantly disrupted. Sumu took the opportunity to sprint with all his strength, successfully crossing the sea of fire and reaching the opposite platform before the flames could recondense. Impressive! I didn't expect you to find the flame core and break through the obstruction. The beast's voice held a hint of admiration. Sumu panted slightly, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and said, "Thank you, Senior. What is the third checkpoint?" The beast did not respond immediately but let out another roar.
Then, the space above the platform began to nyochu, and countless spiritual energy fragments converged, gradually forming a huge spiritual energy puppet. The puppet was several zhang tall, its entire body made of glowing spiritual energy crystals, exuding a powerful sense of oppression. This third checkpoint requires you to defeat this spiritual energy puppet. Its strength is on par with yours, but it has an immortal body unless you can find its spiritual energy core and destroy it. You'll be trapped in an endless battle, the beast said.
Sumu looked at the spiritual energy puppet before him and knew this would be a tough fight. He quickly adjusted his state, circulated his time-reversing and spatial energy, and his whole body emitted colorful light. The puppet took the initiative to attack, taking huge steps and throwing a punch at Sumu. The fist wind howled, shaking the space as it passed. Sumu's figure flashed, casting time-reverse spatial shuttle to appear instantly behind the puppet, then casting time-reverse spatial slash. A colorful spiritual energy sword key slashed at the puppet's back, but the key only sparked a shower of spiritual energy on the puppet's body, causing no substantial damage. The puppet sensed the attack from behind, turned quickly, and threw another punch. Sumu hurriedly cast time-reverse spatial shield to block it. Boom! The shield trembled violently, and Sumu was knocked back several steps by the powerful impact. This puppet's defense is so strong, Sumu marveled inwardly. He knew he couldn't fight the puppet head-on. He must find its spiritual energy core. Sumu circled around the puppet, observing its movement patterns and spiritual energy operation. In the puppet's repeated attacks, Sumu noticed that whenever it launched a powerful strike, the spiritual energy crystal on its chest would glow particularly brightly. Could the spiritual energy core be in its chest? Sumu guessed. To verify his guess, Sumu deliberately lured the puppet into launching a powerful attack. When the puppet swung its fist again, Sumu did not dodge, casting time-reverse spatial shatter fist to strike at the puppet's chest. At the same time, he cast time-reverse spatial distortion to disrupt the puppet's spiritual energy operation. Boom! The fists collided, erupting with a powerful spiritual energy impact.
Sumu's time-reverse spatial distortion worked. The spiritual energy operation at the puppet's chest became briefly chaotic, its light flickering. Sumu took the opportunity to increase his energy output, and his time-reversing energy, like a sharp blade, pierced into the puppet's chest along the gaps in its energy flow. I found it! Sumu rejoiced inwardly, feeling his time-reversing energy touch a hard spiritual energy core. Sumu did not hesitate, pouring all his time-reversing energy into destroying this core. The puppet seemed to sense danger, launching Fengkuang attacks on Sumu to drive him back.
Sumu gritted his teeth, fending off the puppet's attacks with his time-reverse spatial shield while focusing all his will on destroying the energy core. Under the puppet's relentless assault, cracks spread across his shield, and his spiritual energy dwindled rapidly. Yet he knew this was no time to retreat. Just as the shield was about to shatter, Sumu finally succeeded in shattering the puppet's core. With a deafening boom, the energy puppet crumbled instantly, dissolving into countless fragments of spiritual energy that scattered into the air. You've passed all 3 trials. I admire your courage and wisdom, the spirit beast's voice echoed again.
As its words faded, a flash of light illuminated the space, revealing a colorful energy crystal. This is a chaos spirit crystal, brimming with immense spiritual power. It will aid you in further strengthening your abilities. Now, you may leave this space, the beast declared. Sumu took the chaos spirit crystal, feeling the surging power within it, and his heart swelled with joy. He bowed deeply to the spirit beast. Thank you, Senior, for your generosity. I am truly grateful. Guided by the spirit beast, Sumu departed the mysterious space. When he reappeared in the circular chamber of the energy altar, he noticed the spiritual energy fluctuations around him had grown steadier. It was time to use the altar to open the ruins' exit and make his escape.
Sumu stepped before the altar, channeling his time-reversing and spatial energy into it. The runes on the altar blazed to life, and a beam of teleportation light materialized before him. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the light. In a flash, he vanished. When Sumu reappeared, he found himself outside the ruins. Gazing at the familiar surroundings, emotions welled within him. This journey into the ruins, though fraught with peril, had granted him a breakthrough in his cultivation, and the Chaos Spirit Crystal, his strength had surged to unprecedented heights. Sumu knew the threat of the spirit balancers, and the black-robed men lingered, and greater perils loomed. But now, he wielded the confidence and power to face them. Clutching the Chaos Spirit Crystal, he strode toward Lingxi Town, vowing silently to uncover their conspiracy and safeguard Lingxi Town and all he held dear. What will Sumu do with his newfound power upon returning to Lingxi Town? Can he unravel the dark plots lurking in the shadows? The answers remain shrouded in mystery, waiting for Sumu to unveil them. The story continues. Stay tuned for more thrills. Subscribe now.